The recording and boom. I think we are live. All
Wow.
right. Welcome to Conversations with Women in the Arena. We are back for week number 4 with Monica Pierre on the topic of fear is not the boss of you. I'm your host, Michelle Cullison, and this is the place where you can find the courage to live more daringly and support when you fail, because it just happens on the road to success and when you're in the arena. So we're talking tonight with Monica. Monica comes from a background in media. She's an Emmy award-winning journalist. She is a college professor and a motivational speaker. Welcome, Monica.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Happy to be in the arena with you again.
Yes, week number 4. We've had such a good time these 4 weeks, and I so appreciate you being my first guest. I have to just very quickly say publicly that you've really, really helped me produce this and do this. It's the first time I've done a Facebook Live conversation, acting as the host. And so I really appreciate your help in launching Women in the Arena with
My
me.
pleasure. And to be the host and to handle the technical is not always easy, but you've done it. And of course, you never appeared flustered in any way. So I do appreciate that.
Just lots of prayer in the background, right?
Yes, that's how it's done.
That's right. Well, you're welcome. And I'm just so looking forward to our last conversation tonight. Until next time, I'm sure we're going to do it again in the near future. But why don't you go ahead and catch up the people who maybe missed the first 3 and just give a little bit of background of where we've been.
Well, thank you, Michelle. And if you haven't watched the videos, please go back and do. But we've been looking at fear and fear bossing us around. It's fear is not the boss of you. So one of the things that we had you do was to talk about awareness, being aware that fear is always trying to boss us around when it comes to our dreams by making us feel less than, not worthy, anxious. And then we recognize that we're going to have to take the bold move and fire fear. Get rid of fear. No 2 weeks notice, you have to go. Well, now there's a vacancy, right? Who is going to be the boss? Well, if fear is not the boss, the time has come for you, for me, Michelle, for all of us as we step into the arena to boss up, particularly in the area of change. And then thirdly, we talked about one of the S's in the BOSS formula of BOSS. One was really staying focused. I'm going to talk about staying focused, but really making sure that you are in charge of your life and take some action, because action is one of the keys to moving forward and letting fear know that you're the boss. So tonight we're going to focus on staying focused.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about that, because in today's my arena, particularly of social media, distraction is number one. And I just, as you were talking about taking action, I wanted to just kind of look back and remind you that we both agreed that Googling isn't taking action, right? Sometimes
Googling from here to eternity is not taking action. And don't you do that, Michelle?
Isn't sign, maybe even a class, but do take a step forward, put yourself out there.
Absolutely. That's the whole idea of the arena, putting yourself out there and staying focused, because there are so many distractions. And you would think, well, I'm doing research. I'm just on the internet doing research. I want to make sure that I have everything figured out before I even take one step toward my goal. So the idea is to be focused. And number one, to recognize that once you make the determination and the decision that you're going to step forward, start, that's the first S, start, and take the action, then all of these things are going to quickly come into place. And number one is many different types of distractions, whether you're Googling all the time, whether you're having those endless cups of coffee and you're picking everybody's brain, and then but nothing goes beyond that. So the second S is to stay focused and recognize that one of the ways to do that is to be very clear about what you want. and why you want it. And that clarity doesn't have to take 20 years, which is what a lot of us do. 20 years ago, if I could just get clear, I would do it. Well, now is the time to get clear. And one of the ways to get clear is to know what you want, why you want it, and then decide. If we just go ahead and look at the 20 different options, we're not going to take one. So pick one. I often say, let me pick for you. If you don't want to pick, I'll pick.
You've done that with me.
Pick an option.
Do you remember that? You have done that with me.
Yeah.
For our listeners, Monica and I have bounced ideas and sat and kind of challenged each other and pushed each other and through the years. And I remember sitting there talking about a speech I was going to give or something like that. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but you're like, if you want me to pick one, I will. Because she got tired of hearing me just go on and indecision.
Pick one. And if people have done that to me, I've had good friends too who say, look, if you don't start doing something, I'm going to charge you the next time we have this conversation because we've been talking around and around and around. So pick one. So
and
pick
let me
one.
throw something in here. As I said that, and you're talking about getting clarity, I was listening to the master class with Steve Martin. You and I both had kind of talked about that.
Yes.
One of the things the homework in that for people, I'm not really trying to be a comedian, but I'm trying to learn how to add humor to my speeches and obviously my communications just makes life better. But one of the things he recommended is to decide where you're going to go, take a week and talk to somebody in the industry and get people to commit some time to just listen to you talk things out and sometimes just verbalizing. So I would say to our audience, if somebody in communication like Steve Martin, a famous comedian, is saying that talking it out over a period of a week for as many hours as you can helps you get clarity. And I'm saying that you and I, Monica, you've been that sounding board for me and to get some clarity through the years. And so I think we challenge our audience to find people.
Right. Find someone. But I think what Steve is also saying in that, and Michelle, you have been there really going, okay, Monica, too, get on with it. But it's a finite amount of time. He said a week. He didn't say 10 years.
That's right. Right.
Let's be real. We want to take forever to do it because we don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to choose the wrong door in our minds. But comics are really good because they will go on stage with material that is not perfect, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. But they step on stage all the time. They get in the arena to do it. They don't just have coffee and pick brains for 20 years. They just don't do that.
They don't do it. And that's where whatever it is your goal is, our audience, whatever fear is holding you back, then what we want to encourage you to do, right, is to set a week of conversations, right, to get that clarity, right?
I love it. Because again, on some level, some cellular level, we know what it is we want, right? We know what it looks like. We know what it will feel like. We just don't always have the courage to step into the arena and in this case, make a decision. So sometimes we kind of cloud clarity and decision making because what we really need to do is to decide. That's number 2, decide. And the third piece would be, particularly when you're taking action and want to stay focused, because of all the distractions out there. I learned this by listening to a podcast about 2 years ago. John Lee Dumas has a podcast called The Entrepreneurs on Fire. And he talked about focused sessions, whereby we just focus on one thing, work on that until completion, until a finite time. So you can set your timer for 20 minutes, 50 minutes, not much more than an hour. And that's all you do. So you put your phone, your cell phone on airplane mode, you turn off all the alerts, and you work on whatever it is for that period of time. And I tell you, I've been doing that. And Michelle, there are times I'm going, I've been working forever. When's my 50 minutes up? Because there's no distractions. Because we keep thinking, I can check emails, I can look over here, I can watch TV a little bit, and I can work on my book, or I can write my speech, or I can do my business plan, or whatever the goal is. But I find it so liberating to find that, okay, this is what I'm going to do for a set period of time, and that's all I'm going to focus on. I've even shared it with my students at Xavier University. Set your timer, and then after the timer goes off, you reward yourself with a period of time. Now, let's be clear and let's be careful. 50 minutes of focused, but not 5 hours of play. We have to get back on it and not just spend the rest of the day celebrating our 50 minutes or
Right.
20.
Well, that's just great. So how to get past, how to focus is what we're wrapping up with tonight, is getting clarity, making a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want
And
to add?
setting the timer. So that would be the third one, to set the timer, because you're going to identify something that you need to focus on. So if you, for example, have said, okay, I'm launching my coaching business in 2020. Well,
Right.
I need to do certain things to get there. Well, for 40 minutes or 50 minutes, I'm going to focus on my email list to make sure it's up to date. And that's all you're going to work on. And you're going to continue to do it until that timer goes off. Then you reward yourself. You could take a break. Yeah, then you can do an internet search. Yeah, then you can Google. But that has, as after you have set your focus session. And you can do 2 or 3 a day. It's up to you. But I think once you start to get the momentum going, you want to keep going.
That's awesome. Well, I am so excited that we've been able to share your message of fear is not the boss of you, and share it with our audience. And I look forward to doing this again in the near future. Monica, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. This is a wonderful idea of women in the arena. It is so needed. It's so necessary. And I know you're going to continue with your series. So I would love to encourage you to continue on.
Oh, well, I am. I'm so excited that before we talk about what's coming next, I don't want to miss the opportunity to invite you guys to hop over to monicapierrepresents.com and check out Monica's speech, Fear is Not the Boss of You, and her coaching programs and the other things that she's involved in her work and how she serves people.
Should I mention one in particular?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, if you have a couple of minutes, I need less than that. One of the things I'm working on, people ask me all the time about speaking. They don't feel confident, they get nervous. So starting in 2020, I'm doing a 5-part series called Power Public Speaking. So if you really want to focus on professional development in 2020, want to become a stronger communicator in 2020, get in contact with me and we'll talk about the series Power Public Speaking.
Oh, I love it. And I can't wait to hear of that as well. It's exciting that you're branching out into something new, and you'll be able to help people. I know personally, firsthand, you're gifted with storytelling and have helped me in that skill set. So, but thank you so much for being my friend first and foremost, but also for sharing in this professional venue with my audience and yours, and helping me launch Women in the Arena. So visit Monica Pierre Presents, look for her new podcast that's coming out also, and check out this new program if you're interested in public speaking skills. All right, now before we close, we are going to skip next Wednesday because it's the night before Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
On the road. So we'll start up in December, and I am so excited to announce that we're going to have my friend and colleague, Tiffany Lyon. She is a professional speaker. She was in sales, authored a book in sales. She's an MBA, but now she is a minister completing her MDiv. She's been pastoring in the Methodist Church for a number of years now. I've walked through that transition from sales to ministry with her. But what's even more exciting is she's now hopped over into being a chaplain and a resident at Ochsner as a chaplain. So she is currently doing that while she finishes up seminary and pastors part-time. So she's definitely in the arena. But her message is about mind, body, and spirit. And one of the things we're going to be talking about, women in the arena, as women particularly, men as well, but women particularly, as you go into the holiday season, you are bombarded with tasks that are sometimes overwhelming. And so one of Tiffany's passions is mental health. That's one of the many things we're going to talk about over the course of our conversations in December. There'll be 3 of them. but I want her to give tips for mental health for yourself and also for mental health for those that you serve in your arena and for your families, because it's actually a great time of great stress for a lot of people and depression. But what we want it to be is the spirit of Christmas and a spirit of joy. And Tiffany's going to help us with that. So that's going to be a great opportunity for women in the arena. I hope you'll join us on Wednesday evenings at 8 in December. So, final wrap up here is that I'm Michelle Cullison, and you can see the previous video casts of Women in the Arena on michellecullison.com. That is my hodgepodge everything site. I have multiple things going on, but you can see all of them there at michellecullison.com. I'd welcome you to visit that blog site. But be sure and mark your calendar to meet us back on Wednesday nights in December. And again, Monica, thanks so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Michelle.
I'll see you tomorrow for our clarity conversations.
That's right.
Moving forward. Thank you and good night, everybody.